Don't do this, Sylvie. My voice cracked. I knew it cracked. I hated that it cracked. But she just adjusted her dress strap and kept walking toward the dance floor like I wasn't even there. People were watching. Of course they were. That's what happens when your wife pretends you don't exist at a gala and makes a beeline for her work friend in the middle of a slow song. And there he was, Mason. That smug, over-tanned leech of a man with his sleeves rolled to just the right length and his tie loose like he's always halfway undressed. He smiled when he saw her. Smiled. She smiled back. I moved faster than I meant to. Grabbed her elbow. Not hard, just enough to pause her. I wasn't trying to make a scene. God, I didn't want to make a scene. But I wasn't going to just stand there like a ghost in my own marriage. If you step out there and dance with him again, I whispered, then we'll be having a different talk. Her smile dropped for exactly half a second, just long enough for me to see the flash of guilt, or maybe annoyance. It was always hard to tell with Sylvie. Then she yanked her arm away, turned, and walked right into Mason's arms like I hadn't said a word. She didn't even look back. I stood there, frozen, drowning in the music, in the murmurs, in the thick, suffocating realization that everyone else seemed to know what was going on, except me. That was the night I stopped guessing. The next morning, I found the backup phone. And that was just the beginning. I didn't plan on snooping. Honestly, I didn't. I'm the kind of guy who feels guilty eating the last cookie if my wife hasn't seen it yet. But after watching Sylvie melt into Mason's hands like she'd been rehearsing it for weeks, something in me shifted. I barely slept that night. She came home late, claimed she stayed behind to help clean up, which was hilarious, because Sylvie has never voluntarily cleaned anything in 12 years of marriage. I heard her humming when she took off her heels. She never hums around me. Around 5 in the morning, when my brain refused to shut off, I dragged myself into the guest room, where she keeps her old law books and boxes of things she swears she'll organize one day. I was looking for what? I don't even know. Maybe I hoped I'd find nothing, so I could feel stupid and paranoid and go back to pretending everything was fine. Instead, I found the phone. It was shoved behind a stack of depositions, wrapped in one of her scarves. Black case, no stickers, no charms, totally unlike her. At first, I thought it was dead, but the moment I pressed the side button, the screen lit up with a soft glow, and that glow felt like it punched me directly in the chest. No password, just a swipe, like whoever used it had zero fear of being caught. The messages were the first thing I saw, hundreds of them. Some from numbers saved under fake names, Emily, 1, lunch crew, Carol accounting. But the messages had nothing to do with Emily or accounting or lunch. And then there were the ones from Mason. His name wasn't even disguised, like she wanted to get caught, or like she was so confident I'd never look that she didn't bother hiding it. My hands were sweating so badly I could barely hold the phone, but I forced myself to read. Not all of them. My stomach wouldn't let me, but enough to feel the room tilt around me. Plans, inside jokes, nicknames, photos of her outfits before she wore them, comments about how I wouldn't understand the vibe, conversations about that stupid gala, comments about their dance last month, and the month before that. And then one message that burned itself into my skull. If he notices something tonight, just play it cool. He always backs down. He always backs down. Is that what she told him? That I was predictable? Spineless? Pathetic enough that she could twirl around in another man's arms and expect me to swallow it with a smile? I'm not proud of this part. My hands shook so badly, I almost dropped the phone. My breath hitched. I felt that pressure in my chest. The kind that tells you you're either going to cry or scream or collapse. I didn't do any of those. I just sat down on the floor and stared at the wall like a man realizing he's been living in a house with invisible cracks that finally split open. I must have sat there for 30 minutes before the guilt hit me. Not guilt for finding the phone, but guilt for not finding it sooner. For ignoring the weird work events. The sudden gym obsession. The new perfume she got from a coworker. The late-night messages that were group chats. The way she angled her phone away from me at dinner. Every moment that seemed small now slammed together into one massive truth. When I finally put the phone back, carefully, exactly where I found it, I felt sick. Because I knew this wasn't something that would disappear with an apology. This wasn't one bad choice. This was a lifestyle. A double life she curated while I graded papers and packed her lunches and tried to convince myself she was just stressed. I walked into the kitchen, hands still trembling, and she was there, hair in a messy bun, drinking her coffee like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't waltzed into another man's arms hours earlier. Like she didn't have a secret phone tucked behind legal documents. She smiled at me, a soft, casual smile. Morning. And all I could think was, how many mornings have been lies? I should have confronted her right then. I should have said something. Anything. But instead, I mumbled some pathetic version of "sleep okay," and she kissed my cheek like I was a coworker, not a husband. And that's when I realized something even worse than the phone. She wasn't scared of losing me. She was scared of losing him. And that was the moment the ground under my marriage didn't just crack, it dropped. I didn't sleep for the next 3 nights. I pretended to. I'd lie there in bed next to her, perfectly still, listening to the soft tick of the ceiling fan and wondering if I was losing my mind, or if I'd already lost it months ago and just hadn't realized. Sylvie, meanwhile, slept like a stone. No tossing, no turning, just soft breathing and the occasional sigh, like her world was peaceful. I started noticing little things I used to brush off, like how she never let her phone out of her sight anymore. The real one, not the burner I found. She carried it from room to room, even into the bathroom. When I asked why, she joked that I'd probably text her and get worried. I forced a laugh. She didn't notice. Or how her texts always came with the screen tilted just slightly away. Or how she never used emojis with me. But her face lit up at random notifications like she'd just won something. And then Thursday happened. She came home late. Again, but this time, her hair was done. Curled. I didn't say anything at first, but I must have looked confused, because she immediately launched into some over-explained excuse about how Marcia, at the office, wanted to practice doing makeup for a friend's wedding and begged Sylvie to be a test subject. Marcia, the same woman who once told me she hated weddings. It was too specific, too clean, too rehearsed, like she'd said it before. So I asked the most harmless question I could manage, pretending like I wasn't suffocating under suspicion. You and Marcia hang out after work now? And her smile. That smile, it twitched. Just for a second. She said, well, yeah, I mean, not usually, but today was just spontaneous. I nodded. Spontaneous with curled hair and a smoky eye? She paused at the fridge, door half open, and looked at me with this carefully crafted look of mild irritation, like I was being clingy. Garrett, please don't start. Don't start. That's what she always says when she's lying. It's like her verbal white flag, but not the kind you wave in surrender, the kind you wave to shut someone up before they ask the wrong question. Later that night, she fell asleep on the couch. I sat across from her, lights off, just watching her chest rise and fall. Not in a romantic way, in a detective looking at a suspect way. There was a time I would have done anything for that woman. I used to race home just to tell her about my day. I used to bring her gas station candy just because she mentioned liking it once. I thought we were building a life. Turns out, I was building a life while she was building an alibi. I didn't have proof yet. Not the kind I could shove in her face and force a confession. But I was close. I could feel it. I just didn't know that proof was about to come from the last person I ever expected. And once it did, everything spiraled, fast. It was Saturday afternoon, just past 3 p.m. I was in the garage trying to fix the leaf blower because Sylvie had mentioned the backyard was starting to look neglected. As if that was the real issue. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. The real one. Her sleek little silver iPhone with the floral lock screen she always tilted away from me. Normally, I wouldn't have touched it. Even with everything I'd found, part of me still clung to some ridiculous sense of boundary. But this time, she was upstairs on a work call, and the name on the screen stopped me cold. Mason Work. All caps. Like it was a company. But Mason didn't work in tech support or HR. Mason was the man who danced too close. The man who knew I always backed down. The man who called my wife firecracker in the messages I couldn't unread. I stared at the screen. It kept vibrating. 5 rings. 6. Then, like my hand moved on its own, I answered. Hello. A pause. Then a woman's voice. Calm. Almost too calm. Who is this? I froze. Who is this? This is Tessa, she said, with a sharpness in her tone that made my throat tighten. Mason's wife. Wife. He had a wife. I didn't speak. I couldn't. The floor dropped out from under me, and I was free falling through every disgusting assumption I'd had, realizing they weren't just guesses anymore. They were truths. Tessa didn't wait for me to answer. She was already ahead of me. I've been trying to reach this number for a week, she said. I saw the texts. I've seen the photos. I wasn't sure if I should call you or him. But since you answered, I think we both need to talk. I walked outside, gripping the phone like it might explode. My heart was in my throat. Talk about what exactly? There was a deep breath on the other end. Your wife and my husband have been seeing each other for a while now. At least 5 months. Probably longer. 5 months. I looked up at our bedroom window. She was up there right now, pretending to be in a meeting, probably texting him from one of her 2 phones, while I was out here hearing the real story from the woman whose life he was also tearing apart. Tessa continued. He doesn't know I installed a monitoring app on his iPad. He's been sloppy lately. Left it open on the kitchen table. I saw your wife's name in messages, photos, videos. She paused. And a hotel booking. Under both their names. I swear I stopped breathing. She wasn't just flirting. This wasn't just work drinks or emotional cheating or some stupid one-night accident. This was real. Rehearsed. Tracked. She was booking hotels with him. Tessa told me she had screenshots. Evidence. Dates. Times. She said she'd send everything. And she did. Within 2 minutes, my phone lit up with over 20 images. Calendar entries. Message threads. A mirror selfie with Sylvie and Mason standing way too close in a hotel hallway I didn't recognize. Her hand was on his chest. Her wedding ring was gone. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat down in the middle of the driveway and stared at my own reflection in the phone screen. I looked like a man who'd missed every single sign until it was practically stapled to his face. I didn't know what to do next. Not yet. But I knew this much. I wasn't backing down this time. And Sylvie? She was going to feel what it was like to be lied to. I didn't confront her that night. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. I wanted to march upstairs, toss her burner phone on the bed, and hold my own phone up with every single screenshot Tessa had sent me. I wanted to ask her how she managed to smile at me while plotting her next overnight with a married man. I wanted to yell, accuse, demand, do something, but I didn't. Because something in me had shifted. The shock was gone. The pain was still there, sure, but dull cold. What replaced it was sharper. Strategic. I realized in that moment. I could end this now and give her a clean exit, or I could sit back and collect every lie she told, until the truth swallowed her whole. So I waited. I played dumb. And the next few days? She lied like it was a second language. Tuesday, she worked late, came home at 10:30 p.m. with smeared lipstick and a weird glow in her eyes like she'd just come back from vacation. Said she was buried under contracts. I offered to reheat dinner, and she barely looked at me. No thanks, she mumbled, disappearing into the shower. Her phone buzzed twice. I didn't even have to check it. I already knew the name. Wednesday, she left early, said she was meeting a client for breakfast. But Tessa texted me first. Mason had taken the day off. No meetings. No client. No breakfast. I sat in the living room that morning, scrolling through our wedding photos like some tragic idiot, wondering how long I'd been married to a woman I didn't actually know. Every picture looked like a staged crime scene. Smiles too wide, arms too close, lies behind the eyes. Thursday, I planted the trap. I took off work. Told Sylvie I was attending a weekend teaching seminar 3 hours away. Even made a fake brochure and email confirmation, just in case she got curious. I packed a bag, kissed her goodbye, and left the house at 6:15 a.m. sharp. What she didn't know was that I circled the block, parked behind a neighbor's fence, and waited. I kept the car off, windows cracked, phone recording. I didn't know what I expected. Maybe she'd go to work as usual, and I'd just sit there looking like a lunatic. Part of me wanted to be wrong. But at exactly 7:42 a.m., she walked out wearing the same black coat she wore in the hotel hallway selfie. She wasn't dressed for work. She wasn't carrying a briefcase. She had a weekend bag slung over one shoulder and her phone pressed to her ear. She got into her car, and I followed her. She didn't even hesitate. No glances in the mirror, no looking over her shoulder. Like she was completely unafraid. Like I wasn't even a possibility. I tailed her for 45 minutes, through back roads, out of town, past a gas station I didn't recognize, until she pulled into a parking lot behind a boutique hotel. Same one from the pictures. She stepped out, looked around once, then checked her phone. 2 minutes later, Mason pulled up. Different car than last time. Guess he was getting smarter. They didn't kiss. Not outside. They were more careful now. But he put his hand on her lower back, and she didn't move it. I didn't go inside. I already had what I needed. Instead, I drove straight home. No tears. No yelling at the steering wheel. Just calm, controlled silence. Because now I had video. Timestamps. Screenshots. GPS. And I had a plan. If she thought I'd just yell and cry and beg like before, she hadn't been paying attention. Not really. When I tell you I played it cool, I mean Oscar-level calm. The kind of calm that scares people more than screaming ever could. She came home Sunday night, hair damp, face flushed, with a fake yawn already loaded in her throat. "Sorry I missed your call," she said casually, dropping her bag by the stairs like it didn't reek of another man's cologne. "That seminar go okay?" I smiled, said it was great. "Met a guy who teaches in Denver," I added, just to fill the air with something forgettable. She didn't even pretend to care. Just walked to the kitchen, opened a bottle of wine, and poured 2 glasses like nothing had happened. Like she wasn't carrying a betrayal under her coat. I toasted with her, clinked glasses, asked about her weekend. She told me they did a girls' brunch and watched movies at Laurel's. She said it too fast, like she'd rehearsed it in the hotel bathroom while Mason was asleep next to her. That night, while she slept, I printed everything. Screenshots, photos, hotel timestamp, her texts, his calendar. Even Tessa had sent me a few audio recordings Mason made by accident while leaving voice notes. One of them caught Sylvie laughing in the background, saying, "He still thinks I'm at Laurel's. Men are so easy." I listened to that one 5 times. Not because I needed proof. I just needed to feel the weight of it. The laughter, the smugness. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I set the stage. I met with a divorce attorney. Quietly. I transferred part of our savings, my inheritance, into a protected account in my name. I found a short-term rental across town, furnished, discreet, available within 2 days. I even emailed my school principal and told him I'd need a mental health break, effective immediately. Then came the real twist. I invited Sylvie out. Dinner. Her favorite restaurant. Candlelight. Just like old times. I made a reservation for Friday and texted her like it was nothing. "Hey, let's reconnect. Just us. No distractions." She didn't respond right away. Then she sent, "Really? That sounds nice." She thought she was winning. That dinner was the trap. I shaved, put on the shirt she always said brought out my eyes. I played the part of the doting, clueless husband one last time. I even brought flowers. At the table, she looked nervous, but in a good way. Like she thought she was getting away with something. Like she was about to tell me some half-truth about needing space or figuring things out, while secretly planning her next weekend with Mason. She leaned in over the table, her voice soft. "Garrett, I've been thinking a lot. I think I lost myself a little, and I know I've been distant, and I don't want us to give up on what we have." I sipped my drink. "I agree. I think we should talk. Everything's about to change." She smiled. I smiled back. And then I slid a small envelope across the table. Inside, a photo of her entering the hotel. A timestamp. A screenshot of Mason's message about the perfect room. And a printed copy of her laugh caught on audio saying, "Men are so easy." She didn't move. Her smile fell slowly, like a curtain dropping on a failed performance. She didn't say a word. Didn't have to. The silence was the confession. I stood up, dropped the keys to the house on the table. "Don't come looking for me," I said. "Not tonight. Not tomorrow. Not when he disappoints you. Not when it all falls apart. I've already left." And I did. She had no idea where I went. But she was about to find out just how much she'd lost. She didn't call that night. I half expected a flood of messages, frantic voicemails, some explosive meltdown, but nothing. Just stillness. The kind that feels loud. I knew she'd wait to get home and assume it was some bluff. That I was just processing, like I always did. That I'd be there, sitting on the edge of the bed with red eyes and an open heart, ready to talk it out. That's what I'd always done. That was the Garrett she knew. But not this time. When she pulled into the driveway the next morning, the house already felt wrong. My car was gone. The curtains were drawn. Inside, the difference was impossible to miss. Closets empty. Drawers gutted. My keys gone. Laptop gone. Photos of us replaced with empty frames. The only thing I left behind was a single manila folder on the kitchen table with her name on it. Inside were copies of everything she never thought I'd see. Every hotel booking, Every photo, every chat, every lie, all labeled, time-stamped, and arranged like a case file. I didn't leave a note. She didn't deserve a goodbye. Tessa and I hadn't spoken since the night I exposed everything. We didn't need to. We were two broken people trying to salvage what little self-worth we had left. But I knew from her final message that she'd kicked Mason out the night before. That made 2 homes destroyed in one weekend. Sylvie tried to reach me the next day. 34 missed calls. 9 voicemails. Her voice went from angry to teary to desperate to completely hollow. She said things like, "Garrett, please just talk to me." And, "I made a mistake. And this wasn't supposed to go this far." But it did go that far. And that's the thing with betrayal. Once you see it for what it is, you can't unsee it. It becomes part of the architecture of your reality. She even showed up at my school on Monday. I saw her through the office window, standing near the reception desk, hair a mess, eyes swollen. She was asking if I was in a meeting. The secretary told her I'd taken leave. She asked where I'd gone. The secretary didn't know, because no one did. I'd disappeared, and for once, she was the one left spinning. The texts kept coming. Long ones. Paragraphs. Guilt-wrapped confessions tangled with pleas. She told me Mason meant nothing, that it was emotional confusion, that she had never planned to leave me. She said she was scared, said she still loved me, but her timing was too convenient. She didn't love me when she walked into that hotel. She didn't love me when she laughed at my expense with him. She didn't love me when she said I'd back down. No. She only started remembering love when she realized I'd finally stopped playing the fool. That's when the mask broke. Her last message was one sentence. "You're really going to throw away everything we built?" I stared at that message for a long time. Not because I doubted my answer. I just couldn't believe how delusional it was. She didn't realize she was the one who bulldozed it all. I just swept away the wreckage. What we built, that was already gone. But what came next was mine. It's strange how quiet freedom sounds. No slammed doors. No screaming matches. No dramatic scenes like in the movies. Just silence. And healing. Real healing. 3 weeks after I left, I moved into a small place on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, 1 bedroom, creaky floors, old pipes, but it was mine. The first night, I slept on the floor with a pillow and a blanket because the furniture hadn't arrived yet. And still, I slept better than I had in years. Sylvie kept trying to reach out. For days, she spammed my inbox with guilt-laced reflections, half-apologies, and emotional bribes. When I didn't respond, she tried our mutual friends, told them I was having a breakdown, and that she was worried about me. I sent one reply. It was short, simple, final. "I'm not broken. I'm just done. Please respect that." After that, it all stopped. The calls, the texts, the excuses. I found peace in the smallest places. Mornings with real quiet. Drinking coffee by the window without waiting for someone to lie to my face. Rediscovering old music. Hiking trails I'd forgotten existed. Reading books I hadn't touched since college. Saying yes to things because I wanted to, not because I was trying to keep someone else from drifting away. And eventually, I met someone. It wasn't forced. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't a replacement. Just a person who saw me, really saw me, for who I was, without needing me to prove anything or apologize for being sensitive, observant, or loyal. We started slow. Long talks. Quiet dinners. A connection built on honesty, not secrets. Funny how when someone actually loves you, you don't feel like you're fighting for oxygen. I'm not saying it was easy. Rebuilding after betrayal never is. But I learned something important. You can love someone with everything in you and still walk away when they use that love like a weapon. Sylvie once told Mason I always backed down. She was wrong, because when it mattered most, I finally stood up and walked away. I didn't lose everything. I lost her, but I found me. And that, honestly, was the best trade I ever made.